The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. With your host, Dave Hondel.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Stage Door Show. Tonight, our guests are music royalty, and they just released a duet of a Christmas classic entitled Christmas Without You. It's a huge honor to have on the show Ms. Kelly Lang and Mr. T.G. Sheppard. Thank you both for being here.
Well, thank you for having us, Dave.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for having us, man. It's good to see you.
You know, Kelly, we talked about this before we started recording, but this is your second time with us. So welcome to you, TG, for our show on iHeartRadio.
Oh, it's good to be here. Are you kidding me? iHeart is the place.
Absolutely. You know, I got to talk about this song that you guys released, you know, Christmas Without You. I watched the video and just so impressed with the video, just great quality. And, you know, the song really brought me back to when I was a kid, actually. Just absolutely love that song. And I know that, you know, Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, you know, there's been several covers, but, you know, I love your cover the best. I got to tell you, it's an amazing song. And I've told you, Kelly, in the past, you know, your voice is angelic. I love your music. And TG, just, you know, you're an amazing talent over the years, and number one hits, you know, for several years. And I just enjoy both your music so much. But talk about the song Christmas Without You, because I just want to kind of find out how that came to be that you chose that song to do a duet.
Well, it was really Kelly's idea. Each year, we always pick a song that we want to release as a single. And we hope to have accumulated enough by next year through the years to have an album and a Christmas tour next year. The song came from Kelly. We both, you know, Kenny was a dear, dear friend. I toured with him for years, and Dolly is still a dear friend of both of ours. And so when she came to me and said, how about Christmas Without You? I said, I love that song. And that's really kind of how it came about, was through Kelly's idea to do it. And we had a lot of fun in the studio, and we hope people enjoy our version of it.
You know, that album has a lot of great hits off of that. Hard Candy Christmas, and there's so many that I loved. And you know what? We may eventually cut a few more and collectively put together an album. Hope to do a Christmas tour next year, actually. So we're slowly but surely getting closer to that goal.
Well, and I got to tell you that, you know, White Christmas in Mexico. I mean, you, every time you do a Christmas tune, I got to tell you, it's amazing, because, you know, I love Christmas. That's my favorite holiday. And I gotta say, it's probably your favorite holiday too, with all the Christmas songs that you guys do. So talk about what makes Christmas so special. Oh
my goodness. Well, we have a blended family, you know, and TG raised my daughters with me from the time they were 5 and 9. So we have our traditions that we have at the house. You know, the girls come over. Well, my youngest one still likes for Santa to deliver her stocking. Even though she's 28, that's a demand on her Santa. And so that's kind of a tradition. And then we have, you know, Christmas the next morning, of course, and open up all of our gifts and have food. And we all, me and my 2 daughters love to take photos in matching pajamas. I can't get TG to engage in that just yet.
No, wait. I'm not gonna, like on the Christmas Story where the guy wore the pig outfit.
No, I won't.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna wear it.
We just have silly little things. You know, we're just typical people. We just love to do typical little things, and you know, I can't ever match TG's favorite memories. He had shared a lot of Christmases with Elvis. Who can match that? You know, right. Maybe you could tell an Elvis story.
Well, you know, every Christmas with Elvis was magic. Are you kidding me? I mean, that was the time of year, Dave, that he had permission to be a kid. Yeah. And there was a lot of kid in Elvis that a lot of people never got to see, but I got to see it because I spent so many years with him there at Graceland, 7 years. And you know, his dad used to get so mad at him. He'd say, you got to quit buying these Cadillacs and these houses and buses that you're giving people. You're going to give everything away. He said, no, look, Daddy, it's my time of the year to give. It's Christmas, and I enjoy giving. And you just pay the bills. I'll make the money. And so Yeah, at the Elvis Christmases, Kelly opened up a can of worms there with Elvis, but they were always great Christmases.
Yeah, that to be a fly on the wall, huh?
That's amazing. Great story, TG. And I got to tell you too. I was talking to my wife today. We were watching the video together, and she paused it in the middle, and she goes, "You know what? That brings me back to all the people we lost as well. Christmas without you. I know it has, the meaning of probably maybe a couple that's not together, but." In her mind, she started thinking about all the dear people we lost this year, and how during the Christmas holidays, how certain family members aren't with us anymore. So it's a very sentimental song as well.
It really is. I've never thought of it like that. I'm glad that you mentioned that. But TG and I are very sappy and very romantic, I suppose. We've lost a lot of our music family in the last couple of years. And you're right. I mean, we cherish our moments with each other. We are very stingy with our time. We don't like to give up any of our time together. We miss each other when we go to the grocery store without one another. It's kind of silly, but
we're
connected.
really kind of connected. I think you were going to say connected at the hip, because we really are. I mean, here in our house, a few days before he died, Mac Davis was in here on the couch singing with a guitar. And of course, Kenny Rogers, that broke our heart. And B.J. Thomas was such a dear friend. K.T. Osmond, we've lost so many incredible. Charlie Pride, what a dear friend he was.
Charlie Daniels.
It just goes on forever. But, when you bring up the fact that you've not only lose your loved ones, but you lose a lot of your friends in the business. This time of year is really reminiscent of those people that you miss and that you loved and you respected. And
it's made TG and I much more clingy. I think we're stage 5 clingers to each other. So we're taking this time of year to really cherish our alone time.
Well, just think of the band they're forming up in heaven right now. Amazing.
Wow. Oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't.
Incredible.
Hey, it's Dave from the Stage Door Show. Have you ever wanted a digital business card that would speak for you? Well, let me introduce you to TalkingVCard. Imagine this, a business card that doesn't just sit in somebody's wallet, but actively introduces you, shares your latest work, or even a special message. That's what TalkingVCard is all about. It's modern, environmentally friendly, and has been an absolute game changer for networking in this digital age. Now here's the most exciting part. For a limited time, you can get lifetime ownership of your very own TalkingVCard for only $99. Plus, to ensure you're maximizing its potential, they're offering a free consultation to help supercharge your brand. As many of you know, TalkingVCard is a proud VIP sponsor of our show, and I've been using it personally. The feedback has been absolutely amazing. For everyone tuned in right now, if you're looking to make a lasting impression and elevate your brand, I genuinely recommend giving TalkingVCard a try. There's a unique link on our show notes that'll take you straight there. And remember, maybe the next voice somebody hears from a digital card will be yours. Stay creative and stay connected. TalkingVCard. I have a question, because I know with both of you being in music for so long and doing duets, on stage with so many different legends and so forth. How does this duet, rate? Because I would imagine, having a married couple do a duet, that would be like even more special than anything else you've done.
Well, what's really special about it, Dave, is the fact that I'm fortunate to be married to somebody who understands what I do for a living, because she does the same thing. I can come in off the road and tell her a story about a stage that I was just on, and more than likely, she has been on that same stage, and so she knows where I've been and what it was like. It's always special to sing with Kelly. The only problem that you have is, and Kelly will probably tell you this, we record a little differently. You want to say why, Cal?
Yes. Let me think of
your turn.
Politically correct way to say this. So when we first started singing together many years ago, I realized that I have an innate sense of lyrics. I just recall lyrics very easily. And I assumed everybody did. And I didn't realize that TG is a very literal person. So he asked that I type up the lyrics for him, and I typed them up, and I'm not the greatest of typists. So I misspelled a couple of words here and there and added a the or an and or whatever. And I realized he sang exactly what was on the paper, whether it fit in the song or not. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he said, well, that's what the paper says. And I'm like, well, so he's very literal. I fly by the seat of my pants. We've learned to navigate, and we've learned to have fun with it on stage, obviously. And throughout the years, it's gotten much more easy. I tell you a funny story, poignant in this, the fact that we lost Olivia Newton-John this last year.
Yeah.
She was one of my dearest friends. And I was telling her about our challenges with doing duets. And I said, it's so funny. We mess up every single time we perform together because we're used to being solo.
Yeah.
And I said, I trip over him, or he walks in front of me, or I step on his mic cord. I mean, something's always wrong. So she, at the Flamingo Hotel where she did her residency, she made us, we went outside to walk her dog with her. And on the steps of the Flamingo, she said, okay, Kelly, stand right there. TG, stand right there. Okay, when you get to the verse, walk in front of one another, cross paths, and then you turn around and you smile, and then you wink at each other. Then I was like, if people saw Olivia Newton-John teaching us stage tricks, they would lose their minds. Nobody paid attention to her because they weren't expecting her to do that. But how I wished I had a video going when she was teaching this stuff. And I think about her. I'm sure you do too.
Every time I'm on stage.
Every time we're on stage, we think of her little voice telling us, which moves to make.
This, do that. Yeah.
And it's just bittersweet, at this time.
Well, those are stories that a lot of people don't know, and I'm honored to know that. So thank you for sharing that story. The other thing I wanted to talk about, Kelly, is and this was in between our shows, the last show and this show, but you had your official debut at the Grand Ole Opry. So first of all, congratulations on that. I know you've been on that stage many times, but for your official debut, how was that walking out in that circle?
Man, I'm still on cloud nine. I didn't even expect it to be emotional, really. I didn't know, and I walked out there, and it was kind of the perfect storm because they were honoring Breast Cancer Awareness Night. And of course, I'm an almost 19-year breast cancer survivor. So it was a perfect audience for my story. They allowed me to tell my story. And I got to sing 2 of the songs that I've written called I'm Not Going Anywhere, and I Think It's Jesus. And what a thrill. The response was lovely, and the introduction and the conversation with Bill Cody afterwards, it was, I'm just so grateful. I'm just so grateful.
But let me reiterate one thing, though. Having played the Opry myself hundreds of times, it's a very hard audience to play to because it's the cross section of the world that comes to that room.
They're daring you to entertain them,
right?
Yeah.
And Kelly,
tough crowd, right?
Yeah.
And when Kelly got through with her 2 songs that night, to see them all stand up for a standing ovation, it really touched me because it's a hard one to get. That's a hard ovation to get, and she got it that night, and I'll never forget that.
Well,
that
thank
was
you.
Wonderful.
Well, that's why I said it was the perfect storm, because I think, when you connect emotionally and you share your personal story with an audience that's already willing to hear that, they were there for that. And who knows if I would have gotten the same response on another night, but man, it sure looks good in the baby books.
Well, congratulations again, Kelly. That's just an amazing feat for anybody in music. And the fact that both of you played there several times, I mean, that's, to me, that's incredible. And I want to turn to you, TG, right now, because there's something that with all the years that I know in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and you had your 14 #1 hits, and a lot of those were obviously done in a recording studio. And the sad thing right now with all the home studios and everything, I mean, it's a good thing in one way, but another way, a lot of the recording studios have started shutting down, in the bigger cities. And, I know Nashville, there's still some, smaller studios that are still around, popular ones. But what are your thoughts on that evolution and the way music has gone as far as, the recording piece of it? And the thrill of going into a recording studio. That's, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of them aren't making it. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, technology has moved so far that you can actually cut an album in your bathroom at home nowadays.
And I've done that.
I have too. I think if we're not careful, we can get too slick. I mean, I still miss the crackle on a vinyl album that I used to play when I'd set the needle on it. You know what I'm talking about. I don't want us to get too far technically that we lose the feel of the songs. And I'm afraid if we're not careful, we can. There's a lot of great studios still open here. But you're right. There's a lot of them that's being torn down, and office buildings and condos are being put up. We just need to be careful to respect the fact that people still want to hear real music, and we don't want to get too slick with it. But I still love analog. I mean, I still think it's the best sound. I mean, really, as far as recorded music.
And I don't mean to correct, but I'm super proud of his accomplishments. So a lot of times people just think he's only had the 14 number ones. That was 14 in a row.
Right.
He's actually had 21 number one hits.
Oh my goodness.
Counting.
I'm counting. I'm so proud.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for correcting that, because that's to have one is amazing.
Right.
And to have 21. Wow.
I always thought that if I could have just one or two number ones, I would be fulfilled. I never dreamed that I would. I got to tell you a funny story, though, Dave, that I haven't told much before. This is so great. This goes out for anybody who's listening now that has a dream of making it in the music business. I went to my mailbox the day that Devil in the Bottle, which was my first number one, hit Billboard. And I went to my mailbox and I got my Billboard out and I opened it up to the country chart, and there it was, the number one. But in that same mailbox was a little small 3-4 inch box with a letter that says, "Thank you for submitting this song to us at this time, but we do not feel it is right or commercial for our label." So it was the same song that was number one in one hand in Billboard, and I had a rejection letter in the other hand. So it's a magical business, and those number ones, I don't know, you never get used to having those, and they're always great when they come.
And just a thought about that as well. That was a perfect segue to this, because obviously music is art, and it's really the beauties in the eye of the beholder. And obviously some people like this genre of music, some people like that, some people like this song, some people don't like this song. And I think being true to yourself. I interviewed Don McLean one time, and he told me that he refuses to give up his art, to somebody who wants to change it, like maybe a producer wants to change the sound or maybe make it shorter or longer, that type of thing. And, that really stuck with me. And, what are your thoughts on that? Both of you, the fact that, you might have one song that you don't think is going to hit, but it does. And then one song that you think is going to be number one and it doesn't hit the charts. I mean, it's art is like looking at a painting, right? People see it differently.
Well, thank goodness that there is so many options, because wouldn't it be a boring world if everything looked and sounded just alike? But
yeah, exactly.
I can only speak from my own personal experience. Most recently, I wrote this song called "I Think It's Jesus." And when I write things, I feel like they've come from above. I don't feel like I'm personally responsible for them, because they come to me in dreams or in transit states when I'm very calm, And so I wrote this song called "I Think It's Jesus." It clearly is about Jesus. It's clearly about, the signs that we see in the world that we might think are coincidences. I personally connected them together, that, they are all connected, and it leads back to what I personally think is Jesus. So I was really shocked when I had two people, actually two very famous producers, say, "Hey, could you change the title?" And I'm like, no. It would have totally different meaning than what it came to me as. So I stuck to my guns, and I just felt that it was imperative that I do stick to my guns. And so far, so good. I just, as a writer, it's almost like you gave your child out to the world to see if they think it's pretty or not pretty. And if they don't like it, then you take not offense, but you are protective of it, So I understand Don's position on that. I really do.
Well, another great story about art, it was with Dolly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Dolly got the call that Elvis wanted to record I'll Always Love You. He loved the song. And then when Colonel Parker said, we want half publishing and half writing, Dolly said, no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to give that up. That's my art.
That's mine. Yeah.
I created that. Although I'd love to have Elvis recorded and I've dreamed of writing a song for him. No. And then lo and behold, when Whitney Houston comes along with it, she owned it all. And so it was a full circle moment for her. But yet it is an art. And I'm glad that artists treat it that way.
I have not to that level, obviously, but I had a song called I'm Not Going Anywhere that ended up in an Ascension Hospital commercial, a national
Beautiful
commercial.
Song, by the way. Yes.
Well, thank you. And luckily, somebody tried to take my publishing years earlier when I was quite naive, and I might have considered that at one time just to play along, to be a part of the project. But I was advised not to. And so glad I didn't, because, I would have ended up with a totally different ending. And I just encourage all writers out there to really believe enough in yourself to hold on to your publishing as long as you can, if not forever.
Yeah. And I have to say with our listeners, a lot of them are artists themselves and, just getting started out. And I think that one of the biggest pieces of advice that everybody is given, including yourselves now, is about the publishing, own your material, copyright it. Do the right thing with it, because the music business is just that. It's a business.
It is. And some people, obviously are not in a position where they might need the income. Like a publisher will pay you a stipend per month. And if that's the situation, I get it. I totally understand. But I've been very blessed to not have to be put in that position yet. And hopefully I can remain that way.
How many times do you think Willie Nelson wished that he hadn't sold the song Crazy for $300 when he was hungry? But he had to eat those.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to make the choice to survive. But how many times, I wonder, has he said to himself, I wish I had all of that song back.
Don't you know?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is why we do this show, guys. I mean, we do this show just specifically to avoid, people getting into those pitfalls or making the wrong contract choices. And, just when I was, directing music videos, I met so many artists that were signing bad contracts, and nothing I could do about it. All I could do is be a friend and say, I wouldn't do that. But at the same time, people have to make their own choices. But again, a lot of younger people out there that don't have that life experience sometimes will jump into those, with 2 feet because they think they're going to be famous or whatever.
If I can share with you another interesting story, I was reading a book one day many years ago, and it was explaining if you want to succeed, find the person that's succeeded ahead of you and talk with them, ask them what they did. So I did, and I strangely have become really close with Barry Gibb.
Absolutely.
And Barry is the only one person under Paul McCartney as a BMI highest ranking songwriter. So I figured, what, I'm going to ask his advice. So I had his audience there, and I said, Barry, what is your advice for a young songwriter? He says, Kelly, don't ever sell your publishing. So I'm doing everything in my power to never go down that road. If it's good enough for Barry and Dolly, it's good enough for me.
It's your annuity. It's your annuity for life.
Yeah, it's my children's inheritance, so if you can do it.
Yeah, 100%. That's well said. And I appreciate that advice. Before we go, I just want to let our listeners know how they can, find you on social media. Because I know, Kelly, you're on social media and TG. And so how can they find you? Because I want to make sure that they can follow you on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere else that you are.
Of course, you can go to tgsheppard.com for our tour information because we're on tour being a country artist. Country artists are always on tour every week. You can go to tgsheppard.com or you can go to our social media platforms like Twitter, which is now X,
Right.
Instagram and Facebook, and check out our YouTube channels because we're constantly putting up content on there and videos and
Yeah,
stuff.
and if you will, kellylang.net for me. Go to YouTube and click subscribe when you're there. We always love to put new content up there before anywhere else. And if you do go to our websites, fill out the submission form there because we send out newsletters monthly, and it gives the people that have signed up there exclusive content. And I think it's always fun to do that.
Absolutely. Well, that's great. And everybody listening, please go check that out. And again, any feedback on this podcast, just let me know. Everybody's good about sending me notes about the podcast, and I'll share that with you both as it comes in. But I want to thank you both for joining us tonight. Again, Kelly, for your second time, thank you. And TG, just great to have you on as well. And Christmas Without You is a new song. It's been released, and also the video is on YouTube, and it's just an amazing. Everybody's got to see that video. It really puts you in that Christmas spirit, the Christmas mood. So please, everybody, go there. Again, thank you both for being on the show, and I can't thank you enough.
Can I give you a compliment? Okay.
Absolutely.
I've been fortunate to have my own show on Sirius XM the last 4 years. In interviewing people, it sounds easy and it looks easy, but it's not. And you, my friend, have mastered the art of conversation. Your interview tonight was not an interview. It was just a conversation between three people. And I want to compliment you for your ability to have mastered the art of conversation. You're really great at what you do. You really
thank you so much, TG. I'm honored. Thank you so much.
Well, it's our pleasure to be with you tonight, and we wish you a very Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.